Maria's and everybody's response to it. So I thought it would be pretty cool to bring on somebody that is a different voice, that sees this every day, all day. And I think his take is pretty cool. It aligns with a lot of the things that we already do, but his voice and his words are going to really hit home with a lot of you and answer a lot of your questions. So we're going to talk, Rob, the biggest thing is people are like, I don't know what to do on social media. This person says not to do this. This person says do this. And this ad over here says don't do this and this and that. And then they get paralyzed and they just don't even know what to do. And so if we can get started in that topic, that'd be awesome.
For sure. So many different directions. I'm already jotting down notes as we're talking right now, things I'm thinking about, things that, we've spoken about on phone calls. I know things we spoke about when we were all in Mexico and all these different fun things. But I think the biggest thing, the analogy that I was giving when we were talking is there's a lot of different ways to climb the mountain of success. But the only way for sure not to climb that mountain is if you start up one way and you stop, and then you start up another way and you stop, and then you start up another way and then you stop. And so one of the biggest keys for having success is focus. If you go ask, Warren Buffett, and I think it was Warren Buffett and Bill Gates were both asked separately, what does it take to be successful? And of course, they're probably going to give different answers at different times. But this one time, they were both asked separately. And in these interviews, they both said focus. It takes focus. And so I think for all of you, the first thing is understanding a little bit of psychology is it's focus. You have incredible leaders. And so rather than looking outside for different ways, what I would do is I would look outside for ways to validate what you're already planning on doing. Does that make sense? So let's say that your team is saying, okay, here are the principles, because sometimes we get too caught up in techniques, and I'm always big on that. I think in network marketing, it's too much like, well, so-and-so says it like that. Well, what's the principle behind what they say? My mentor that's now made over $30 million, the strongest type A personality in the world, he'd call people up and say, hey, give me your credit card. You're signing up right now. Well, I'm never going to say that. But the principle behind it was the world loves boldness. It makes people curious. It's contagious. And he took charge. So I had to find a way to do that in my own style, in my own personality. So too many of us, right, we're trying to figure out what to do. We want to do it. So for some of you, you got to declutter your social media and who you're following. And that may even be me, okay? Of course, heaven forbid, I don't want it to be me, but I've got to give you value and training. You can't be following 10 different coaches in network marketing, as well as listening to Natasha and Chastity. And, I know there's other teams on here, Jess or Beth or whoever. You can't be saying, okay, I'm listening to them and I'm following 10 different coaches. If you're going to follow like one or two where you're taking those ideas to validate what you feel like your upline or your leaders are teaching you to enhance the same direction, then that's when it's beneficial. But if it's like, well, so-and-so says that it should be 22% of the time I talk about this, but the other coach says 79.6% of the time, then all of a sudden it's like, we can't even do it. We can't even figure it out. So I want to start out with that before I get into some of the nitty gritty as we go, because I just think there's way, way too much confusion. So I'm going to give a little bit of principles as we go through this. I just wrote down some notes. So as you're going, you also need to understand this. What is attraction marketing? What is pull marketing? Because I think there's a lot of there's a lot of misinterpretations. And what I mean by that is this. Pull marketing and attraction marketing is not, I'm going to make a great curiosity post. And now all of a sudden it's like, I don't even know what to do. My inbox is just flooded with people that just want to join. They just want to sign up with me. I just don't have time. Like, I never have to do another Zoom or a meeting. Like, this is great. Look, you may have one of those posts, and those posts are called unicorn posts. And they're called unicorn posts for a reason, because it rarely happens. Even with the influencers that you have that are on this that have made millions of dollars. And look, they've got the credibility that they could do it more, and they're going to have more results. But even still, They're not going to build a business based on people joining their business because of posts that they made. They're just not. So I think it's important for all of you to understand, okay, well then what is attraction marketing? Attraction marketing, the goal is to bridge the gap, and literally let's just think of it as becoming more attractive as a human being. Attraction marketing. Attractive as a human being in the sense that maybe before you were closing 1 out of 10 people, but now they're like, oh, I saw Nicole's post. I saw Steph's post. I saw Brandy's post. I saw, looks like she's having fun. She just went to like this big meeting with all these mompreneurs and all these entrepreneurs. And I saw she's chasing her dreams and she looks positive and he looks super fun and he looks super energetic, right? So what you're doing is you're bridging that gap. And I talk about it, 3.5 laws. You're bridging the gap of the law of likability. I don't care how good somebody is. If you can't stand them, you just don't want to do business with them. You're bridging the gap of credibility, right? And part of credibility, you don't have to be, and I'm going to talk about becoming authority. You don't have to become the authority like you think, but you're bridging the gap of just credibility, of being a good human being, of just being a good, right, positive person. And then recallability, just think of it, visibility. You want to be front of mind. So people feel like, here's the ultimate compliment, and this is your goal. You want to feel like if you meet somebody, they feel like they know you. I can't tell you how many people I meet in person that they literally feel like we're friends and we've never even spoken to before. I mean, it was like 5 months ago, somebody said to me, I feel like you're one of my closest friends. I've never even spoken to this guy on the phone. And I know Natasha and I are going to be speaking with Rachel Hollis. I feel like I know Rachel Hollis. I feel like she's a friend of mine. I've never even met her, right? But that's what she's done so well. That's always been my goal, is you want to connect that. So now maybe instead of closing 1 out of 10 people, you close 2 out of 10. Now, how do you do that? You still got to do the deal. You still got to reach out to people. You still got to have conversations. You still got to ask them to look at your products, ask them to look at your business. But now they've been following you. They've been following your content, right? They may say no now. They may say no forever. But all I'm saying is 1 out of 10. Now you're 2 out of 10. That's not hype. That doesn't sound like a big, big number. But guess what? You just doubled your numbers. So when you can first understand this of the purpose, now you can understand, okay, well, if that's the case, people aren't going to buy based on what they see. So it's not like anybody's going to be looking at what you have and they're getting on Facebook and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Oh, I wonder who's going to spam me today and talk about, their business and sell me their special deal. I got to get on Facebook or face spam, right? Who's going to be Spamela Pamela today? I love Spamela Pamela. She's my favorite. And they get on and they're just like, oh, thank you. Bless you. Thank you so much for just selling me today. That's why I went on social media. I'm just so, so excited. Or it's not like they're going to be like, okay, I wasn't going to buy before, but when I saw that little Lavelle label or Thrive label, when I saw that, I was like, I'm buying. Like, I wasn't going to buy it before, but as soon as you threw that on there, I'm buying, right? Like, this is like Gucci, Lavelle is. I'm buying. Like, think about that. It's just, and it sounds like funny, but at the same time, sometimes we got to put it in common sense because we hear all these different things and sometimes we just misinterpret them. Sometimes they are miscommunicated, misconstrued. But if you can understand that, now when you understand what your real purpose is to bridge that gap. So what you want to do, it's called priming. Priming is really just setting up. It's setting the tone. So you can figure out what fills you. Okay, so the principle is be the bold version of you. Because too many times it's like, okay, you got to be real. You got to be the authentic version of you. Well, that's true. But a lot of times, oh, I don't feel comfortable with that. Well, you got to get out of your comfort zone as well. So that's why it's always understanding what that really means. The bold version is you got to get out of your comfort zone, but just be that better version, the best version of you. And so I'm not saying don't talk about products or business. I'm just saying how you talk about them is important. Saying private message me doesn't work. They're not going to all of a sudden say, oh, well, I had no idea I could private message you, but since you said it, now I'm all over that crap. I'm going to private message you right this second. In fact, they're less likely to private message you when you say PM me. Think about that. They're less like, they know they can private message you if they want. They know that. So with that said, your goal, and understand that some of the things you see the huge influencers do, well, they've created so much credibility that they can say things differently, and it's going to carry more weight and validity, right? They've been showing up consistently. They've made the money. So they say the exact same thing that you'd say, and the results are way more. It's like the example I give in my book is Warren Buffett said the exact same thing I'm teaching you right now. All of you, it would have 10 times more weight. You'd be like, oh, Warren Buffett just taught me this. Whereas if somebody came in and they're teaching exactly what I'm teaching now, and you knew for a fact that never had made more than $200 a month in network marketing, you'd be rolling your eyes right now. Like, what are you teaching me? So the law of credibility is real. And I think it's important for all of you to understand that. So for me personally, what I teach is the vast majority of your posts should be showing who you are as a person. So anytime you think of anything, okay, and I'm going to show it to you, okay? Some of you may have seen this, but I'm going to show it to you. Anything. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's insightful. I don't care if it's hilarious and funny. Whatever it is, you're going to create a notepad and you're going to put it in there, because inspiration comes and it goes. So wittiness comes and it goes. So I have right here, it doesn't matter if you can see it. I don't want any plagiarizing, so I wouldn't care. But this is just giving you an idea as I'm still scrolling. Now, of course, this is years of ideas, but that's why I can go post like on my personal, and I can go post anywhere, and I've got content, because anytime something comes to my mind when I'm reading or listening to a book, or I'm on a Zoom like this or anything, I jot that thing down and I put it there, right? It could be even something I'm thinking about family. It could be something I'm thinking that's just funny that comes to my mind, right? It could be something that's a quote, and I want to give my own personal insight as I'm doing it. But what we want to do is we want to be lifters. You want people to feel like they know you. People know that know me, that know that I have a dry sense of humor. People know that I love my wife and that I may wear the pants, but she decides on the size, the color, the brand, everything else. People know that I love my kids and I love to travel. People know that, I speak all around the world. People know like different things, like funny things about me. I let people get to know me, and I gauge the audience. Now, as you're starting to do that, don't just be the quote person. If you're going to share a quote, that's fine. That's actually good. But share your personal insights. It's borrowed, shared authority. So for example, some of us feel like imposters. Well, I can't talk about fitness. I'm not the super fit person. Why not? Find something, maybe it's a really cool statistic that you see, and then share something about it and say, you know what, I found, like, let's say it says that people that get 8+ hours of sleep, on average are X amount more fit. Okay, whatever it is. I find this statistic and I'd say, you know what, I've absolutely found this true in my own life, as well as I found this true with many of the clients that I help. Instantly, I'm priming them where they're like, wait, that you help, right? And if you feel like you're an imposter, then just be real and say it. Like most of the time, the things we're thinking, we just say in a positive light. So say, you know what? And I struggle with this a lot. And for me, I struggle a lot with, with whether it's weight. You feel like, well, I'm teaching people how to get in shape and I'm not in great shape. You know what? Say I've gotten in much, much better shape. I'm helping a lot of other people with it. And I'm also, for myself, I'm learning to become much, much better. See, that's the bold version of me. Because a lot of times we feel like imposters, where it's like, well, I'm not the best of the best, so I can't talk about it. Why not? You can share insights that you're learning and share your journey and have borrowed authority. I'm learning to be an effective marketer. Think about your favorite commercials. If you think about those of you that watch the Super Bowl, this year, the only NFL game I ended up watching this year was actually the Super Bowl. And that's a whole separate training. I actually obsessed with sports, but I had to figure out, okay, what are my likes? What are my loves? Which am I willing to give up? So I can just focus on family, business, friends. Like those are my loves, right? Family, business, church, friends, all that stuff. And one of those things was NFL. There's certain things that I haven't given up and won't give up. I'm a human being. I've got my weaknesses. So I watched the Super Bowl. Do any of those commercials say bye, 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 bye? No. What are they doing? Exact same thing I'm teaching you. The best commercials, right? They're creating awareness. They're priming you. They're right. They're whether it's a sense of humor or something that's insightful, whatever it is. So for you, that's what you're doing on social media. So for example, if I want to talk about weight loss, the example that I always give because people relate with it is I'm not just going to be like, hey, private message me. I'm going to help you to lose 20 pounds. There's no story in that. Instead, I'm going to share a story rather than soliciting them to buy from me because they know they can buy from me. I'm going to say, shout out to my friend, Julie. You know, she had her third child, whatever the story is, right? And for the last 2 years, she's been looking at dropping those last 30 pounds. And she's, whatever the story is, it could be she hasn't made any dramatic, like crazy fad diets or anything. And she's been able to drop 15 pounds in the last 2 months. And I just can't tell her how proud I am. I love helping people, right? I'm sharing a story. Facts tell, stories sell. We've heard that. But then for some reason, we forget about it and we don't do it. It's the same thing if you're talking about business. And of course, we can't make income claims. But if I'm at a convention or I'm at a mastermind, right? And you see Chastity and Natasha's, their branding, they were at the Brendan Bouchard, right? They're in Mexico with me at my mastermind, right? It's not like they're just branding and they're also learning at the same time and they're sharing pictures. So I would be like, if I'm at a Lavelle convention, I'm not like, join the train, you're missing out or anything like that. Instead, if it's a bunch of women, I would say, you know what? It's so fun with all these mompreneurs that are like-minded, that are chasing their dreams. We're all crazy busy, right? I'm handling the objection because everyone thinks they're busy. All different styles and personalities, introverts, extroverts, right? Handling the objections they may have. And we're all having fun chasing our dreams together, right? If it's guys and girls, it could be entrepreneurs. But I'm learning to tell a story and I'm thinking it in the sense of, what would make me at least intrigued and want to follow this person's content as I go? What would make me intrigued? And then, if I can, I like to, whenever I can, engage my audience. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes the post just doesn't call for it and I don't want to force it. Like today's post and a couple of the posts, if you look at mine, was on favorite chick flicks of all time. So I just kind of got rid of the man card there. And I said favorite 5, or I think I put a bonus chick flick of all time on it. And so, you know, for all of you, as you're doing it, that's what you do. And then I said, what are your favorites, right? Because now I'm getting engagement where I'm asking. And by the way, that list is pretty much not debatable. It's really the top 5 plus a bonus one, top 6. So you can put honorable mentions if you have different ones. A lot of women have been saying Pretty Woman. It's not in the top 6. I'm sorry. It didn't make the cut. I know I've caused, an outrage, but it just didn't. I'm sorry. So I have fun, right? I'm engaging my audience is whenever I can because Facebook's more of a community. Instagram, not as much. It's not going to get as much engagement. Instagram likes to scroll real quickly and just like. There aren't as many comments unless you're a massive, massive influencer. But Facebook is a lot more if they like that type community feel of engaging and going. But a lot of you are trying to figure out the schmalgorithms. So let me just simplify it for you. Stop trying to figure out all the details of it. I promise if you learn these basic principles, the timeless principles, for the most part, the algorithm hasn't changed that much. And those that like to tell you how much it keeps changing is because they just want attention. And that's okay. I mean, sometimes I'll give here's the algorithm, but most of the stuff I'm teaching is the same stuff. And I tell people that. But here it is. The more popular your content is, the more it gets shown. That's it. Because Facebook doesn't want to be irrelevant. So if you make a post 10 minutes later or an hour later at 0 likes, Facebook's going to say, this sucks. We don't want to show it to more people, because then you're not going to be addicted to Facebook. You're not going to come on it more, and they're not going to show it. Whereas after an hour, if you have 100 likes, wow, this is great. Let's show it to even more people. So that's the simplistic part. The more detailed part is, well, then how do I get it? Show up every day. Post every single day. Don't over post. I would never post more than 3 times. And if you have a great post, you don't even need to post more than once. Well, my influencer does, so what? They've smashed the algorithm. They can post what they ate for freaking breakfast and they get 200 likes. And it's the stupidest post ever. But right, it's just a lot of credibility. So don't look at them as an example. So that's why it's just doing that and being consistent. And then what you're going to do is you're going to repel those that don't like your content, or like, who are you now? You think you're some expert? Who cares, right? They're not building your dreams. Love them, but who cares? And those that love your content are going to like, comment, and eventually share your content. And so what you're going to do is you're going to attract your tribe, and you're going to repel the haters, which is what you want. You're not trying to be everything to everyone. If you try to be everything to everyone, you're going to be nothing to no one. And so for me, I think in the last 4 to 5 years, I've only missed 1 day posting. And it took a couple years for me to get better, for me to find my voice. Because a lot of you are trying to figure out, what's my brand? You don't know what your brand is. Just be consistent. You'll figure it out as you go. And then it took me time for me to be able to create my audience. And as I was doing that, those things helped me really just break through the algorithm, where I don't have to worry about it. Now, are there little teeny things like, yes, don't post a website because Facebook doesn't want to take you off of it. That's true. That's 100% true. There's little things like that as you go that you'll see. But the rest of the stuff, I think we just spend way too much trying to find out the details that aren't as relevant to actually the core of what's going to be able to build your brand and keep you focused. But I just want you all to understand now what attraction marketing is, what your main purpose is as you're going. I know Natasha does, a third is her posting. For me, it was always probably about 80% was non-business related. And then the 20% was telling some sort of story as I was doing it. It doesn't matter, right? It's like the principles are the exact same, and you just become that bold version of you, and you're going to figure out the messaging as you go. So I have no idea what I missed. It's probably like, you probably want to interrupt me like 10 times, ladies. So I apologize. I was just going.
Yeah.
So happy to answer any questions or let me know what I missed or clarify the stuff that I made confusing as I went, and we'll go from there and have some fun.
Yeah. So Chas, if you could, I'm here. So if you can go ahead and intervene.
So, Rob, I love it. I want, you guys to look at, Rob, say for example, Rob and Natasha, they are both social influencers in networking. They bring a lot of that kind of content, but even though they're the same type of content, they're so uniquely different. And that's the important thing that we have to remember, is that just like Rob was saying, people are going to follow you because of who you are. And I think so many times, Robin, you probably will agree, people get on social media and then they try to morph into their influencers. I mean, I tell you all the time, I just posted a post, Rob just said, the top 10, whatever, different things. I use those and I said, what's your ideal date night? I didn't take his content and post the exact same thing, but I used it as, I like Rob's content. We have the same vision, same values, same goals. How can I make this my own? How can I make it something that's engaging? And I think it's a super fun thing. A lot of the new influencers that I follow, and guys, I'll tell you, I am and Rob will tell you, this is what I love about Rob, is that, I want a very generic, not somebody's going to push me into a certain direction, but that's going to give me a space to be creative. And I love that about Rob. But, if you will go back and you'll look at my post post from 6 years ago, I would get 2 likes, guys. And now you'll see me get, 200 likes on like what he's saying, something silly. That took time. Rob, wouldn't you agree that, you can post something silly and you're getting a ton of likes, but that's because it's taken time to build your audience.
Yeah, I'd made millions of dollars in this industry, and I was doing Facebook Lives and getting no views for the amount of money that I'd made in the audience. I mean, at that time, I had an organization that was in over 40 countries. Now I'm not part of any company. I just speak, coach, consult. And I say sometimes generic, but then you get mad at me as well and say, but you're not generic. I'm generic in the sense, right? Like, I'm not going to make you go one way. So we got to figure out a better word. Cause I agree with you. Like, you're better than, I'm like, I don't know the word. So we'll figure that out later. But,
well, I want to talk to people about that real quick because, I think it's important that you are very careful who you follow. And when you and I had that conversation, Rob, people will have ulterior motives. They can sell you anything for, any amount of money, and then they can take you off course of where you're going. The people that you're following, the content that you're learning from, it should keep you directively on your path and making your path better. It's not, hey, you've worked so hard for this, 4 years and I've got something better. No, it's how can I improve what I'm doing? How can I improve the track that I'm on? And being true to who you are. I see so many people, Rob, that, like you said, if you're not the guru on health and wellness, I see Tony on here and I've watched Tony's posts evolve. I mean, she's like becoming like the, beast mode. Her and her hubby are like becoming but she is evolving into that. I'm slowly getting into the gym. Now I'm doing this. I mean, it's a gradual process. So I think so many times that's where I see people fall short, is that they come in and, oh my gosh, I love Rob Sperry. How can I become him? I'm going to post everything he says, everything they do. And they're going, dude, you haven't been in the gym for 10 years, come on, let's be real. Or, they start putting all these spiritual quotes and they're like, you just used the F-bomb on your news feed yesterday. Like, who are you? Or, you turn into this cook or this Instapot chef and they're like, you go out to eat every night. Like, be true to who you genuinely are, and you're going to see that engagement just intensify.
Yeah, and we see right now, I mean, nowadays, especially with, you see Rachel Hollis, you see Brene Brown. It's been the same for, Fraser Brooks and we talked like 5 times today. We talk every day. I've tried with myself. It's actually the more real and vulnerable you are, the more success you'll have. Now, understand, don't misinterpret this. I don't mean in a whiny, dramatic way, because there's some people that take that over the top and you're like, oh my goodness, I swear their life is so dramatic, right? You have to take a positive from it and don't be too vulnerable in the way that it's like always just the over dramatic poster. And tomorrow I'm doing my Facebook Live on the things not to do, and I think I have that listed as don't be the over dramatic, as one of those things to joke around about. And so I think doing that, and Christina, as far as you're saying, struggling being relatable, that's part of when I started. I wasn't sure what to post, and Stephen Covey talks about it in his book. There's the 7 highly effective habits, but then there's another book called The 8th Habit. And he says just finding your voice. And a lot of us, to find our voice, the best thing you can do is actually first start out with make a commitment you're going to post every single day. That's your first commitment. And as you make that commitment that you're going to post no matter what every day, and you start to create your notes, you're going to start to think of what to post. And your mind's going to all of a sudden become aware. It's like the whole analogy of you buy a car the first time you ever bought this style or brand or whatever, right? And a model, and all of a sudden it's like everybody has it. You had no idea. It's because your mind is open and aware. Now, as you're going to post every day, your mind is open and aware. You will find that now you're going to start to pay attention more. And over the course of a year, just because you're posting every single day, you're going to find that your posts will get better and better. And then the other thing, and we talked about this in Mexico, that I think is just really good for all of you to do, and this is just kind of a deeper tip, is as you start being consistent, you can go back and you can look at your last 30 posts, and you can do this every month or a couple months. Look at the 5 most engaging posts. Look at the 5 least engaging posts. Your audience is telling you. They're telling you what they love. And you'll have some of those unicorn posts, not unicorn from a business standpoint, but like for me, I never knew how many people would relate to me being an introvert. And I never planned on posting. I didn't even post about that for 3.5 years. And all of a sudden I posted about it and it was like, it blew up. I'm like, wow, I had no idea, right? And so I started to find, because I was consistent as I went, and I learned to tell a better story. I was the worst in school. I barely got by, especially with English. That's why it took me so long to write my book, and I had to have a million different editors come in and help. And they're like, your structure sucks. I'm like, thank you. I know that. Just please help me. And so for me, it's just taken a long time because it wasn't natural for me. And so that's what I would say for all of you, is just understand that you're not going to be perfect. You won't know your brand. How to be real. First, it's just posting consistent every day. I want to keep it simple for you. I don't want to make it where it's complicated. It doesn't have to be the longest post. Oh no. Like I've got to make this. Some posts may be a little bit longer. Some are just going to be really short as you go. And I thought certain posts that I posted 4 years ago, I'm like, that was a good post. And now memories show up. I'm like, that sucked. Like now I know what I was missing. I'm like, that was awful. Were those courtesy likes? Like what were people thinking? But now it's because now I know the difference because I'm aware. And some of those I'm just like, shh. But that'll take time for you. And this is another huge tip. After you've posted for a year, you're going to have every day your memories pop up from a year ago. You're going to copy and paste that into your notes. And now you can just go change and edit it, because nobody remembers what you posted a year ago, because you don't even remember. And if you do remember, guess what? Very few of the same people will see it or remember it. And that's actually a secret of what the best top influencers do. Do you know they take their top posts that they send out to you emails, and the ones that do the best, they send out multiple times a year, the exact same ones. Sometimes they just change the title and nobody notices. So as you do it, you'll get better.
Hey, I want to interject on something, Linda.
Yeah.
I do that very consistently. I look at, my content and I'm like going, oh, I can't believe I posted that. And what I do and I repost. But one of the things that I do before I take that and reuse that content is I look at who liked it and engaged with it last year. That's a good way to go back and go, hey, what happened to Kim? What happened to Tiffany? What happened to Regina? Where are they now in their place in life? And so it's a place to go back and revisit those people. They were liking your stuff last year. Are they still liking your stuff? And, I think, one of the good things to look at, even when you look at Rob's post, and that's one thing that attracted me to, there's a lot of influencers out there, but like Rob, you give content and value in the networking space. And one of my favorite posts is when you had your wife, your beautiful wife, and your children, and you're like, my greatest title is dad, and husband. And that people, why is reality TV, guys, so important? Just because he's making his millions as a network marketing or influencer, people want to know who they are. So as much as you're comfortable with in sharing, be careful. Social media can be crazy and creepers, but as much as you're comfortable. And if you're like, I don't know, write down, take some time. What are your likes? What are your loves? What are your interests? I've had people that have done incredible, we've sat down and said, what are the hobbies that you love? What are the things you're really good at? If it's crocheting, if it's, sewing, those are lost arts. Share that. Everybody is looking on ways to improve their life. If you've been married for 10 years and it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, share some tips, something that you've done for the last 10 years. Make your content relevant. Give us tips on, what are some things that have kept you, in that love space, or, things. People are always looking for information. We want to buy 70,000 self-development books. We're not going to read any of them, but boy, we have them. We got them all sitting on our shelf. we want content overload so that because of the society we're in, now I can pick it apart and I can take the information that I need. So give your people value, let them know who you are and what you bring to the table, and be true to who you are. You know, be okay with that. You're not a box of chocolates. You're not going to make everybody happy. You're not beer and pizza. You're not going to make everybody happy. But there is somebody out there that's going to latch onto you, that's going to dramatically change the space of your business and your influence. So,
and don't get discouraged. I mean, like I said, it took Chastity time, took me time. It takes time. You don't know when, but that's okay. In the end, it's not even just that. You also will become a much better leader and communicator because you're always thinking of what to say and how to say it. So that's another big insight as you're going. And then Janelle, you said, is most engaging likes or comments. I'm not sure if I understand that question. Most engaging.
I think maybe, Rob, what she's asking is, how do you know if your post, you know, it's probably likes and comments. So
okay.
if you post something, it's 175 likes and 20 comments. So she's asking, is that?
Got it. So I always weight it as shares number 1, comments number 2, likes number 3. Sharing is the ultimate compliment because it brings people to you. They want to follow you. They want to see it. New audiences. Comments would be number 2 because that takes more time and more thought. And then likes. And I would even say, you know, stronger than likes, right? You got the wow, the sad, the love. And so it actually helps the algorithm, number 1, for you, make sure that you're always, don't ever like somebody else's, love it, wow it, sad it, angry, whatever. And as well as when you do things like that, where people do the same thing back for you, where, you know, like if you do something that's funny and all of a sudden you have, you know, 30 where people, instead of liking, they're laughing with it, then all of a sudden that's actually going to boost it because it's more, people want reactions, right? It creates it where it's stronger. And so those are just simple things that I give. And the goal is what we want to do is network marketing is simple. I didn't say it was easy. We know it's not easy. Nothing worthwhile is easy, but it's really simple. And what we want to do is get rid of the distractions. And the last thing any of us want you to do is worry, well, am I doing this right or that right? Because it's hard enough even when you're doing what's right. It takes time. But let's get you where you're focused on knowing what your path is. Still, there are going to be storms and discouraging bad days. But at least now as you're focused, you know what you're doing is right. You don't have to like, well, is my strategy wrong? Should I do this or should I do that? Nope, strategy's right. You're still going to have the bad days. But I would hope that now you're going to have less lows. And you're going to stay in the lows less time. That's one of the biggest things I've seen from successful people. They still have lows, but they have them less often, and they stay in those lows for less time. So the highs and lows are still going to come. We just want it where it's less of those. We don't want it like this. That's how I was when I started network marketing. I didn't tell anyone on the outside because I was a tough guy, but on the inside, I was drama king. It was just like this, right? Someone great joins, Bora Bora. Somebody great quits, it's too hard, right? It was just like this. And you get better, and it's just like that, steady, steady. And that's why we always want to give you, even though your leaders are going to teach you skills, without the belief in the vision, it doesn't really matter how great the skills are because you're not going to implement them or do anything about them. And that's why we're always going to balance giving vision and belief as well as skills on top of it.
Oh my gosh, such good content. Thanks, Rob, so much. I know that everybody got just some nuggets that they can take and implement. There's actually, you know, anything that Rob talked about, you know, you can Google, you know, does a like get more than, you know, a love or a wow? I mean, those are little bitty tips and tricks that you can take and really look at it, guys, and be really conscious of your posts. You know, when I throw something out there, I'm going to look at I know who my avatar is. I know what people come. They come to me for inspiration. They come to me for real life. And so that's what I get my most engagement from. I can share my business post and I'll get 2 likes. I can share something, inspirational, and I get, 500 likes, but that's because that's what my people like. And so it's not that they don't see those other things. It's just that's what stimulates them to push that button. And that's exactly what we want to do. So Rob, I just have to say thank you for creating a safe space for a lot of us in this industry. Thanks to Natasha. I know she's multi-million thing tasking. That girl, I don't know how her brain functions, but I don't function like that. But she's amazing. Thank you, Tosh, for putting this together. And you guys can follow Rob. He's always got some funny stuff. I know the other day he posted something. If people are talking behind your back, pass gas. That wasn't exactly what he posted, but I was like, okay, and his engagement went up. But if you're not someone that likes to talk about passing gas, hey, that's not you. But so it's funny. I love to watch Rob's posts. He's always got great content, great information. So Rob, thanks for taking your time tonight to be with us. Thank you, Natasha, for putting this together. And we'll see you guys soon. There's a lot going on tonight, so check your team pages.
Thanks for having me, ladies. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hope you found value. And the most important thing is just go execute, right? Go post every day. You'll figure out the rest slowly but surely. So thank you so much.